Good evening, at least in my time. My name is Alun, and this evening I'm running the first of 4 sessions of the game Hit the Streets, Defend the Block. This is by my good friend Rich Rogers, and it is a street level supers game. And I'll just run through my thinking about this. I mean, I'll read this from the rules. This game is about folks who put on masks or cowls, but aren't the all-powerful or the amazing. They might have superhuman abilities, but they aren't part of an international supers team. This is about street-level vigilantes. And that's what appealed to me, I have to say, in this game, because the awe-inspiring exploits of the Avengers is well and good, but I find myself much happier with the kind of Marvel TV that we see, Jennifer Jones and stuff like that. So my starting setting for this, my setup, my pitch for the players for this was that we'll be playing in a part of New Gauntlet City. New Gauntlet City is a city that is a shared setting developed by various members of the Gauntlet RPG community. If you don't know about the Gauntlet RPG community, then you really ought to. There is a chance to play with us on the weekend of 16th to 19th of April. If you haven't already signed up, I think there are still some places left in the games that will be running that weekend. It's free. We just want to encourage people to play online and play with and introduce them to our play culture, which is the reason that I play online with the Gauntlet, because the play culture is superb and the players are tremendous, as we will discover shortly. New Gauntlet City, we're playing in Lower Park, which is at the western edge, really, of the city, adjoining a large park. Lower Park is characterized by blocks of brownstones. They were pristine when they were built for the middle classes in the early 1900s. And Sound Park was laid out on land gifted to the city in the late 1800s by a philanthropist, Gerald C. Sound. Sadly, that intention to create a lung for this city we love, as Gerald used to put it, was sacrificed when the Western Freeway was built through, or rather over, its southern edge in the 70s, while corrupt Joseph C. Boss Joe Sound was mayor of the city. The district clung to its middle-class credentials for a generation, but as traffic on the freeway grew, those that could move to quieter, greener pastures. And at the same time, Boss Joe raided the trust fund set up to maintain the park, so it too has fallen into disrepair. So this is a very low rent. This is the underbelly of New Gauntlet City, not the shining towers of downtown. So today, Lower Park boasts only the first off-ramp for the freeway and a cluster of low-rent warehouses in its shadow. Most of the brownstones have been left to squatters or converted into some of those warehousing. Their walls defaced by gang tags and graffiti. This is still a place, though. This is the call to arms, folks. This is still a place that people call home, and those people deserve protection as much as those living in the downtown high-rises, and they deserve heroes like those playing with me this evening. We're not. This is going to be gritty and dark. So we may be exploring adult relationships and the struggles that the locals find themselves in. So we'll be careful to use the safety tools espoused by the Gauntlet community. We'll be playing with lines and veils. Lines are things that we won't see in the fiction. And veils are those things that we may see in the fiction. They may be in the fiction, but when they do appear, will fade to black. And my starting lines, and the players can find this in the character keeper on the Cats, Lines and Veils tab. My starting lines are sexual assault and violence, cannibalism as positive. I copied this from this sheet from somebody else. I've not come across cannibalism as a positive anywhere else. Torture by the PCs, domestic violence, torture of any kind, and the death or endangerment of children. And my starting veil is consensual sex, because as I say on these occasions, I am old and British. We will also be playing with the X card, and I know that I've played with all these players before, so I know they understand the X card. I will remind them that my capacity to run a game and keep an eye on the chat is limited, so the simplest way to call the X card is just give me no question about it. I won't ask why the X card's been played. I will simply accept that something that we've entered territory somebody's not comfortable with, and we will rewind the fiction back to a point where I think we can move on, and hopefully I won't inquire the details. I'll just move on in a way that I hope will satisfy people that we're just keeping the right side of any line. And I would stress that the X card, the first time something comes up, maybe a player thinks, oh, that's fine. But then the second time it comes up, they're actually a bit more concerned. You can always play the X card when it comes up again. Whenever anybody in the game feels that we're skirting too close to a line they're uncomfortable with, the X card is the way to put the brakes on and give us a chance to rewind. We're also playing with an open door, so I hope it doesn't happen, but life happens. So if at any point a player needs to leave the game, they'll just disappear. Be nice, let us know whether you're coming back or not. That would be ideal. But stuff happens in the world, particularly in the world we live in at the minute. And finally, we're playing within the Gauntlet community's code of conduct, which I boil down to a simple phrase, which is "Don't be a dick." The joy of the code of conduct is that it just makes it clear what we stand for. So that's my pitch. Let me then first ask the players to say hello, just introduce themselves, and then after that we'll do a little bit of setting creation and then move on to character creation. So in the order of the character keeper, of course, we're not all there yet, so let me go in the order I can see you. Donna, would you like to say hello and just tell us where you are and how you are?
Yeah, thanks, Alan. My name is Donna. I'm located in Dublin, in Ireland, and I'm a long-time Gauntleteer at this stage. So yeah, really looking forward to playing Rich's game for the first time, and with the group we have assembled here as well. Okay.
Indeed, it is the A team that's out tonight. Mario, say hello. Tell us where you are. Tell us how you are.
Hello, my name is Mario. Use he and pronouns. I'm joining in from Germany, so not a native English speaker. Feeling quite well, even though I just found out that one of my favorite rap musicians died in December, which is a bit of a bummer, but I'm trying to take that energy and bring it into the world, which is supposed to be grim. So I hope that works.
I'm sure it will. Thank you, Mario. Jim, say hello. Tell us who you are, where you are, and how you are.
Hey, folks, I am Jim Crocker. I am representing the colonies in this particular instance here. So I'm coming to you from mid-afternoon here on the East Coast of the United States. I'm in my work office because I'm the sole person that works for my little company, folks that know me from outside the Gauntlet, where I run and play a whole lot of games, including with everybody here who I've played with and I'm very happy to be playing with again, and including a bunch of superhero stuff with several of the people who are here represented, and Hearts of Woodland, which is basically a superhero game. So, I mean, that kind of counts too. Folks may know me because I am at conventions all up and down the East Coast and in the Midwest. There's not a lot of those going on right now, and who knows when they'll start up again. So if you're interested in finding out what I'm doing in the meantime, I'm on Twitter at Jim Likes Games, just like it sounds. And I have a website, jimlikesgames.com, where I can still ship stuff from my office here out to if you wanted to buy a game and keep me going in between, whenever the conventions get back going again. But I have of the genres of gaming, superhero gaming is probably the one that is close to my heart that I've done the most of. So I'm really very much looking forward to this.
Yeah, I know I'm in safe hands this evening. And finally, Dave, say hello. Tell us where, who, how you are.
Hello, everybody. I'm Dave. I'm he, him. I'm joining you from Edinburgh with my Celtic brethren, it seems, here this evening. And so, I'm doing all right for role playing in the time of lockdown, and really glad of the role play and fun that we have on the Gauntlet as a lifeline in this lockdown time.
I couldn't agree more. It's keeping me sane playing some games with you lot and people like you. So there we are then. That's who we are. Now, I've roughed out the setting because one of the great things about Hit the Streets Defend the Block is that we start with a piece of paper laying out, as written it should be a completely blank piece of paper. But because I am who I am, I can't start with a blank piece of paper. So here we have Sound Park at the north edge of the lower park district of New Gauntlet City. I've added a single main road down the middle where the freeway connects into this part of the city. I've called it Park Street. In the rules, that would be Main Street. And so now what I need then is for, and I'll read this because I've not played this before, so I want to make sure I get it right. Go around the group, each player taking a turn drawing a new line on the map that intersects at least one existing line, adding a name to the new street. So if I run down again the pictures as I can see you, Donna, would you like to add a street to this map?
So this is in the character keeper, is it? Or is it
no,
separate?
sorry, I thought I'd given you a separate link to this. Shall I put it?
Probably did, but I have mislaid it. Yeah.
Okay, hang on. Here it goes. There it is in the chat.
Okay. Thank you.
So what we're seeing is really rank upon rank of brownstones from Sound Park and the Western Highway down through to the bottom of Lower Park.
So do we have edit access on this?
Oh God, I hope so, but knowing me, well, of course you do now.
I'm just refreshing it.
It generates a different URL, Alan, so you will need to copy and paste that URL in slightly differently, I'm afraid.
Yeah, it's still coming up as view only. You click on share, Alan, and then choose the edit option. Oh, sorry. Is that the...
Can edit. If you click, the link takes on a different something or other. I can't remember what the pattern is.
If you use that new URL that he posted, then it should be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. While I'm waiting for that to upload, I will just say here in Ireland, we are using the term lock-in instead of lockdown because that's what we have in pubs when we shouldn't be there.
Yeah, that puts a whole more attractive social into distancing, doesn't it?
I remember pubs.
Yeah. Okay, that looks more positive for me. So I'm going to pick this. No, that's not what I want to do. That's what I want to do. Just created a line down there in the bottom quadrant, bottom right quadrant of the map, which hopefully you can all see.
Yeah, I can see that.
And I will call that the very quaint high street.
Okay. Mario, would you like to add a street that intersects with either of those? And just to explain to our thousands of viewers, the entire district is available to play in, but most of the key locations, well, all of the key locations and people will be located along the streets that we are currently adding.
Yeah, I remember that there was a particular system for road names and stuff, but forgive me that I'm not really familiar with the American system.
Well, you're not alone in that tonight, Mario.
I don't know if that's a thing, but
I think we're very happy to have Jurassic Park Lane. It was probably once just Park Lane, but the once the graffiti artist got to work, it's been Jurassic Park Lane for 20 years. Moving down, Jim, where would you like to put a street, and what are you going to call it? You are muted.
Okay, so that little back alley there. I think, what am I going to call it? We're going to call that is called Penny Lane, ironically. That is where kind of all of the like back alley, like craps games and 3-card Monte, and like there's just like that's kind of just where you go to do like penny ante street gambling.
Spot on. Dave, pick a street, any street that intersects with any of those.
No, it's a weird point in my line now. Let me just move the. No. If that had been a straight line, which is what I was trying to do before we got dazzled with technology. I'm getting lag. Let's try that again.
For those of you watching, Google Drawing is not the most sophisticated of online pieces of art.
It's trying to do drag to connectors, which is the weird thing. So I'm going to put it there though, and we can say connects through. But I'm going to have a little bit of comic book love, and I'm going to have Yancey Street.
So we have Park Street, which runs right the way through Lower Park up to Sound Park itself. We have intersecting that High Street, and we'll get a flavour of the characteristics of High Street in a bit. And then we have Yancey Street, again running off Park Street, Penny Lane, this Penny Annie back street round the corner, and Park Lane, Jurassic Park Lane, a little bit up nearer the park. Spot on. Okay, so now each player needs to define where their SPB. Now, SPB is superpowered being, which is what the game calls the player's protagonists. So each player needs to define where their SPB lives on which of those streets. So again, I'll go round starting with you, Donna. Where do you think your character is going? Or do you want to do characters first, actually? Would it be helpful to do that first? I think it might, you know.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Let's go straight to there. Okay, so where shall we begin? I put a copy of the rules in the shared folder. It's very straightforward. You start with mode, and as it says on the character keeper, you get one of those modes, being normal or being super, at 3 and the other one at 1. You know, if you want your superpower to be the dominant aspect of your character, then you'd make it 3, presumably. If you want your real life persona to be the dominant one, then you make being normal 3. So I think that the character keeper tells you everything you need to know, really. So can I let you get on with filling some of that in? Because I know we've had a chat offline about character concepts. So we've got some idea what's coming, but I'll just give you a little time to just mess with that character keeper. If you've got any questions, just ask.
Do we want to have a conversation about roles? Because I think this is a thing where
I was going to come to roles last, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we got some idea of what the cast looks like, and then you can sort out where you think you sit in the team.
If I remember it right, the super stat was a 2 that moved to a 6, right?
Yes, it turned. Yeah, one of them becomes a 6. I've just added the dice room to the chat as well. think we're getting quite close.
Can you just put the folder link up there? Because I think I got in from the. I've been getting into the documents just through the documents. And my version of the rules that I have on my computer may actually be older than what the current is.
There you go, Jim. That should get you into the drive.
There we go.
Alan, I got a question for you for how you'd like me to pull out from your interpretation of the rules. In terms of being a graffiti and street artist extraordinaire, I can't decide whether I need to have that should be highly trained, or is that just like a natural skill? What's that? What's your view on that?
Well, I mean, you've taken one of your powers as gadgetry.
Yeah.
So one of the questions I had for you was, well, you know, how does the gadgetry play into that character concept of the street artist? I mean, it could be that going for highly trained there might make more sense. But what do you do with that street art, I suppose, is what's the intent of it in a superpower sense?
That's a good question. If it's you know, the art is probably a skill, if you like, rather than necessarily a power, and that's probably answered my question. But the gadgetry will be the cool bits, like the paint bombs and those sort of things. So a backpack full of
then I think, you know, talented street artist simply becomes the thing you do.
Cool. So that means I'm free to choose probably super movement then as my second power, as that'll be sort of parkouring and hanging off the sides of underpasses and that type of stuff. Good.
I will go around each of you asking you to help us visualize how that power works in practice. But yeah, absolutely, Dave. That would make sense to me.
Well, another thing could be that, like, it's such a rundown neighborhood that the art you create is sort of like an uplifting, inspiring kind of thing, or an intimidating, like to call people out, which would be tagging or something like that.
Yeah, I'm just sort of thinking, is that a power, or is that something that you sort of maybe just roll heart with as well? So I don't know. I'm getting my head around what the powers can be used for. So there's a yeah.
No, I think you're right there, Dave. I think it's probably being normal, using that heart, that relationship, that influence, that charisma kind of thing.
Cool. That makes sense then. All good.
I think I'm seeing everybody's more or less complete. So yeah, let's talk about team role. Now, the team roles, know your role. Every team member has a niche or a function. So the roles are leader, the glue, the team mom or dad, big brother, big sister, sibling, whatever. The wild one, you know, daredevil, carefree, loose cannon. The con artist, the face, the chatty one, the master manipulator. The brick, the hard-headed thug, the muscle of the team. And the strategist, the thinker, the plot meister, puzzle master, the general. So what are you thinking about that? Again, let me go the other way. Dave, let's start with you. How do you think that your character fits into this setup?
As a 15-year-old girl. She's probably not the mom figure. So I'm thinking I'm happy between the wild one. The wild one probably makes most sense unless anyone else has got their hearts set on that.
Say now or forever hold your peace.
It's all you, brother.
Go ahead, Dave.
Awesome.
Then Jim, let me come to you next. What are you thinking?
So my character is basically like a reformed, like a, like one of these like goons that worked for a supervillain, where like he was in a gang as a teenager and the gang got recruited by a supervillain, and he experimented on all of us, and I like happened to live through the experiments that he did on us. And so when when whatever superhero came in to take him out, I like helped in that in whatever way I could with my brand new powers. I didn't understand how they worked. And so, I got like probation, and I'm pretty sure that like there's eyes on me to make sure I'm not, but for the most part, I've gone back into the neighborhood and I've got a job and, am trying to help people out. So, I mean, like, I feel like the glue is, because I also see myself as a little older. Like,
Okay.
definitely like pushing 40 kind of thing. So
As old as that.
that's so funny.
Gads.
Yes, yeah.
Gads. I'm struggling to
You and me
conceive.
both are laughing at that turn of phrase I just used there. But sorry, older as compared to like a bunch of like teen superheroes running around the neighborhood. So these kids tagging and stuff like that.
Mario, Donna, are you worried about losing the option on the glue, or are you happy?
I was considering the glue, but I'm not committed to it or anything.
Well, let me come to you next then and give you first choice, and then you and Mario can mud wrestle over what's left. So Donna, what are you thinking then? If not the glue, then there's one I always think related to the glue.
You mean like the leader?
Well,
Well, definitely not the strategist. But yeah, maybe the leader. Although probably kind of a reluctant, no one else will do it kind of leader.
Okay. Mario, how does that?
Those are the most interesting kind of leaders.
Mario, how does that play against what you have in mind for your character?
Yeah, that's the thing. I try to, like, I'm not really familiar with any superhero tropes apart from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, maybe, and Darkwing Duck. Like, I didn't spend my teens reading much comic, but I now that I created the character, I think I might go with the brick, but more of a big mouth and happy to have his powers more than actual physical strength. So.
Okay, so the brick, as you may be hard-headed, but it's less thuggery and more intimidation. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, happy to go with that. Okay, so I think if you fill all those in, folks, then we will have the characters pretty much complete, and we can have a quick description of them. Okay, so if I go in the order of the character keeper then, Donna, would you like to introduce us to Theo Dukas?
So Theo is a relatively young man, maybe mid to late 20s. His superhero name is Blink. His family has been living in this neighborhood for quite a while, like maybe 100+ years, which I hope doesn't wreck the Gauntlet City timeline. His two special abilities or special superpowers are perception. So I'm thinking something like clairvoyance, and a body mod, which is being able to take on a ghost form, so blink in and out of this physical reality.
So can I ask that? So blink suggests a kind of on-off, but is that ghost ability sustained as long as he concentrates on it, or is it a blink in, blink out? What are you thinking?
I think he can maintain it, but it's not a simple switch. I think it will require concentration to maintain, but it's not just a momentary effect.
Okay, and then in terms of the clairvoyance, I'm going to assume a degree of clairaudience in there as well. But can you give me some sense of this? Is this the other side of that door or the other side of this building?
I think it's I think it's closer to the other side of this door, right? Maybe it's like a counterpoint to his ghost form. It's like a ghost mind, so it can like extend out at like an arm's length or not quite a breath level of distance, but that kind of.
Could he strain himself to go further? I'm thinking, astral projection almost here.
I mean, I think a strain might take him to the other side of this building, but not like miles, right?
Because I'm thinking mechanically, what I could do is to make it the difficulty increases with how far away you're trying to do it. Does that seem fair?
Sure. Cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, like, it's also kind of cool if, like, you could extend your senses to wherever you're like if you could reach your ghost arm through a wall, it's like you're in that other room, so you can hear and see as if your whole body was in that other room. Like, that's the kind of thing. Or is that not what you're thinking?
Well, I was thinking that it's like a mental or a perceptual toggle to the kind of physical form.
Oh, okay, sure.
Because I guess if I can stick my ghost form through the wall anyway, I'm looking through it anyway.
Oh, sure.
So
yeah. Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, but it's like it's like a Wi-Fi signal. How many walls are there between here and where you want to get to? Yeah.
So for blink, then, can I just then confirm the other bit of this is it's not just invisibility. This is dematerialize and walk through things.
Yeah. So in the kind of backstory origin, I have him being in an accident, and the truck that would surely have killed him miraculously missed him. Right.
Okay, that's good. Right, because one of the things I like freeform powers, but I do want to be able to conceptualize what this looks like. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Dave, can I come to you next in the character keeper? Tell us about Veronica.
So the group will only know her as Shadeux. If we're talking about Veronica, she's about 16, 17 years old. Let's say 17. She's an honor roll student on the edge of becoming valedictorian. The principal's her father, so she is being brought up to work hard, straight line, get out of the neighborhood, get a great, go to university. But she's connected to this place, so she has created this alter ego, his Shadeux, and a love of bombing and tagging and graffiti art and doing large murals across the city at night has turned into a secret identity, and she uses that to try and enact social justice in the city. She's probably starting to go off the rails because I've chosen be super to be more important than more normal. So she's more in her own skin when she's got the mask on and the kit on than she has in her real life, which is really, she feels, in the construct of the family, parents, the school, the church, and all those sort of things that force her to be who she's expected to be, not who she wants to be.
Okay, and then so the super movement you've gone for. We talked in passing about parkour. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, I think it is. It is parkouring, probably combined with the gadgetry bit. So you've got, grappling hooks and that sort of stuff, where you can always find a hanging from the oddest of angles, painting things which really no one would expect her to be able to do. And the gadgetry is very much themed around the sort of stuff primarily that you could put together out of science kit, Raspberry Pi, exploding pond, paint bombs, solvent, the IR that she's wired into the night sight she's wired into the mask she wears, the police running scanner to make sure she the cops ain't close by when she's painting and tagging. But it's gadgetry in a relatively lo-fi aesthetic.
Do you imagine that she has a variety? We can play gadgets a number of ways, can't we? One way would be to say that when the time comes for something that fits in that spec that you've just described, then she has that in her bag. Or are you imagining that she's got a little kind of electronics science lab in the attic where when she needs to make something, she makes it and then it's ready? What do you think?
It's probably a bit of column A, column B. You should have, like this, I say, utility belt within that sort of framework, and that this kind of kit that I probably mentioned, Alan. But if she needed to do something bigger, there's it's more she's got a key to the electronics lab at the school rather than a secret lab somewhere.
Oh yes, I am hoping we're going to put that school on the map somewhere. That would be cool. Okay, that's really helpful. I'll come to the form of her life in a bit. And then, okay, but Mario, tell us about Robert Blossom.
Robert Blossom, he's a kid from the block here. He's been here his whole life, even though he's always talking about leaving and traveling and becoming a famous rap star. His thing is, he does know that there are superpowers. He's not really aware of his own. He just thinks he's really good with punchlines and really intimidating. So he has this superpower, I imagine, being like sort of a void touch. So people get anxious or maybe even some sort of depression if he's like really mad at them and touching them. So he needs to have like physical contact for using that power. So
can I just ask a question then?
Yeah.
Because if you go to the column A and just click into head, it will tell you what this is about. And so for head, cognitive functions: perception, deduction, reason, and thought.
Mm-hmm.
Jaw is persuasion, reason, argument, intimidation through speech. I just want to make sure that you've got those stat numbers the right way around.
Yeah. So I actually don't want it to be about Jaw. That's the little twist I imagined for him. If that's over the top, I'm fine with changing it. But I thought he's like sort of a really bright light most of the time, not always, but he's not really super self-aware. So he thinks like whenever he's confronting people and insulting them, that he finds like super powerful words, which sort of is the case, but it's like if he touches them, that it's the void touch that does all the work basically.
Oh right, okay. So he needs to get up close and personal to do that. Okay. So you've gone for power 1, mental ability, and that is just is this convincing people, or is this frying their brains?
Rather the second, because I imagine them, like a lot of them, like just falling into utter despair. Like they're like super besides themselves for quite a while, because I imagine like sort of like Cthulhu-esque part within this. So they see maybe like some form of like cosmic horror, something that is so beyond them that they have a hard time like dealing with it. And here is another thing. Like I wanted to check in with everybody because I could see if he is like really up to people that and angry with maybe a whole gang or something, I see how that could raise like some sort of suicide rate in a district. And I'm not sure if we want to go in that kind of territory. So okay, yeah.
No, that makes you a villain.
Okay.
If your power makes it so bad that people kill themselves, you're a villain.
Yeah, I thought that's a twist because he's not aware. But yeah, sure, okay.
Yeah, well, because then the only answer to that is we got to get you to stop using your powers.
Okay.
You know, like I mean, you know what I mean? Like there's kind of an inevitable. There's an inevitability to that I feel like is, even if we're going to be street level and grim and stuff like that and whatever, but a power that like you lay it on a drug dealer and suddenly they understand all the pain that they've caused. That's awesome.
Okay.
Something like that, you know, like if it forces people to go back and go, oh my God, I've hurt a bunch of people and now I understand what that's like.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's like a version of like despair or whatever, or turning stuff back on them. But that I feel like is more, you know, is kind of in line with the whole thing that we've got going on. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So it's less about the void. It's more about like a reflection. So.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean that's the abyss looking back at us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it feels quite
Yeah.
Nietzschean, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It does. So Mario, just let me ask the question then. You said, do you need to actually touch or just get close? Because I need to get some sense of range here. You know, do you have to be in the same room as somebody? Do you need to be touching them?
For now, I would say I need to touch them, but I see how he might evolve beyond that, and then when he's able to really control his powers, he might have like some sort of close range ability. But for now, it's straight touching because he can't control it properly.
So when he's performing as a would-be rapper, his words don't have the same impact on a crowd of kids.
No.
Okay. And I suppose I still want to make sure that is using the jaw statistic, because that's what it sounds like you're doing. You're talking to people.
No, I think that's just his perception of it. So he's talking, but the move itself is triggered by his head because he's mad at people, touching them, and then using that mental ability. That's just a give, like sort of his kind of style that he's always rapping along.
I think you may be overthinking this because head is how bright you are. Jaw is all about having an effect on people with the use of your voice. So I think what you're telling me is that 3 and 6 need to switch, because otherwise I'm going to be endlessly asking you to roll with jaw.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. Okay, done.
Yeah, six in head makes you Reed Richards or Tony Stark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and the super stat, I'll explain to our viewers. This allows one of the stats to have 6 dice to roll rather than 1, 2, or 3. Okay, and finally, Jim, tell us about Benny.
Benny, Benjamin Benny Thibodeau. His family moved to New Gauntlet City in the Depression era, looking, kind of coming up here looking for work in some of the, newly kind of like industrial factories and stuff like that, and has been here since probably, like the 30s, right? You know, grandfather's a World War II veteran, all this kind of stuff. But I think that, like I said, I think he's, you know, late 30s, maybe if during some point during the game we have his 40th birthday, I think that would be, you know, that'd be fine. But like I said, he's got that background of having, you know, kind of like early, you know, grown up in the, so like if I'm 40, he'd have been born in 1980, which would have been like, you know, kind of like 90s, like height of the crack epidemic kind of thing. You know, era of the super predator and all that kind of stuff. And almost certainly, you know, like 20 years after that highway got put up, and when this, you know, before any kind of attempt at urban renewal or whatever you want to call it, or like any sort of creeping gentrification starts crawling in because, you know, it's so expensive to live, you know, in the center of New Gauntlet City, any of that. So like very, very difficult, you know, impoverished childhood, you know, youth growing up, got mixed up with this gang. And, you know, because like happens in comic books, this gang got recruited by a supervillain. And he ended up with some powers that he has spent the last like 20, no kidding, 20 years just quietly trying to quietly use to help people in the neighborhood. But in the era of social media and people and everybody's got a camera and all that kind of stuff, it's getting harder and harder for him to just like, you know, quietly help people out and put down the problems that he used to be able to just, you know, somebody comes around and says, you know, these, you know, the whatever the gangbangers are hanging. Can you just get them off of my corner?
Okay. And you've gone for a power called control. Do you want to describe what that looks like in one of our panels?
Yeah, folks can't really, like, nobody watching can necessarily see my picture that I chose, but I've got Jamie Foxx as Electro from that really bad Spider-Man movie. But basically, like, he's got electricity control. The element control is electricity. He can, you know, he can like move electricity through his body. He can make it jump from one thing to another. He's got a parlor trick where he can snap his fingers to like change a TV without the remote and stuff like that kind of thing.
So he can generate charge, not just channel it.
Yeah. So the other power that I took is defense, which is basically he can kind of generate an electrical field around himself to and like I see that more as like a, you know, he can maybe dissipate some incoming energy and stuff like this. He can grab onto stuff that might otherwise you know, hurt regular people.
Well, this is a comic book, so you know, he generates electricity into a force field.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
yes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's, and whatever, and because it's electricity, it's also electromagnetism, and you know, my science teacher could explain to you how it works. All I know is that it works.
Okay, I think I can work with that.
And my day job is I work at one of these little shops that does like the gates and the bars that people put on their windows and stuff like that. Because I can weld without an arc welder, which is a really handy skill to have when you're doing that.
Does the person who employs you know that, or is he just surprised at how
it's my cousin,
low his energy bills are?
No. It's my cousin, so he totally knows what's going on. So like, you know, this is kind of part of my whatever, like probation, or, you know, actually probably not probation at this point. But like I said, I'm pretty sure that there's, you know, that there's eyes on me. And that as long as I'm just helping out people in the neighborhood, no one's going to hassle me.
Okay.
If I get too out of line, yeah. But I think it's one of these things where it's one of those brownstones with like it's like a business on the first floor, you know, and apartments over it. And like I live in one of the apartments, he lives in one of the apartments, and he owns the building.
Well, that is a perfect segue, Jim, because I'd like to start with you and discuss where it is that you live.
Yeah,
there.
sure. So I mean, like, we've got tons and tons of row houses and stuff like that.
Oh God, we've
Yeah,
got far
all of
more
that.
buildings than you need. So pick any one you like.
Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put us on. I'm gonna put myself on High Street here.
Okay, and that's where your cousin's business. What's the business called?
What's it called?
I don't sweat it.
Yeah,
You
give me a second. Give me a second to think
yeah.
about it. I'll come up with a clever name for it.
Okay. Then going back the other way, then to Mario. Do you want to tell us where Robert lives?
Well, Robert lives on Park Street, sort of closer to the highway, so people are used to noises, and he hasn't any issues with turning the music real loud. So
Okay, well, pick a spot and label it with your name. Well, with Robert's name, and then Dave, do you want to tell us where Veronica lives?
Veronica lives on what is, I suppose, it's also where the Catholic school is, on Jurassic Park Lane. It used to be called Park Lane, but no one knows. All these kids come up and down the screen. That's when it got changed. And yeah, she lives in a little bit of a brownstone, probably connected onto or close to the school. Do you need me to draw that on? I think you're muted, Alan. I can't. If you're speaking to me, I can't hear you.
No. Yeah. So yeah, just put a square or something on there
Sure.
to show where this is.
Right.
And I do have a question for Veronica, though.
Mhm.
So she lives with her parents.
Yep.
Near the school, if not next to it.
Mm-hmm.
And is this, presumably this must be the best house in the area.
I think it's church property, right? So this is like a Catholic school, so this is a well-to-do job, or well-positioned in the community. I don't know if you'd call it a great house, but compared to other people, it's probably got less broken windows and more of the the upkeep. I think we spend our effort trying to make sure that it does look like a good place.
And presumably, do you make a lot of use of keep out ironworks? Does the family?
Yeah,
for bars, for windows and gates.
Yeah, I'm sure that's the case. For that, the beings around. Yeah, if there's an ironworks, we will definitely will.
And I'm seeing that perhaps the attic room, which is both your workshop and bedroom, though your father thinks that those bars are secure, strangely they're now hinged.
I just think I jump straight and hook over them. But yeah, I think that's the case. Yeah, in terms of getting in and out, yeah, that's well been easily taken care of.
Okay. And is it just you and your father? Is there mother? Are there siblings?
I think it's me and I think we're me, mother, and I don't know if there's any other children. Let's say no. Let's say I'm an only child. but there is a father and a mother.
Okay.
It's a very it's a good community family.
Yeah, okay. And that's a big house for a small family, so we might talk about what some of the rooms are used for at some later time. Okay, thank you for that. And then finally, Donna, tell us where Theo lives. We lost you for a moment then.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there, but everyone started spinning, and then I just refreshed to rejoin. So hopefully things are okay now. So I guess I lost about a minute there, maybe.
I'm just interested in where Theo lives.
So I think Theo lives on Penny Lane. So I think there's an old family brownstone there. Maybe holding out against some general antisocial behavior, but they're not moving.
Fine, we've been here long enough. We're not moving now. Okay.
Yeah, and I also see Penny Lane as like that's kind of like the backside of a lot of those houses and stuff like that. It's like the alley where otherwise like the trash would go and stuff like that.
Okay, so like the yards have a back gate that. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think you can see some backyards here with the long buildings and a variety of backyards.
Yeah, so I'll just pick one of those long houses jutting off that.
Okay. Now I want to push on, folks, so we can get to the point where we're ready to go when we come back from a break. So can we have a look at the team generation tab of the Character Keeper? The first thing we need to consider is your purpose. Now, there are a range of purposes here. To be honest, I'm very happy for you to, those are very broad headings. We have the secret heroes. You all live locally, have secret IDs, and you protect your homes. And by homes, I mean the community's homes. Heroes for hire. Some guild of local businesses pay you or reward you in some way. Kind of like cops. You aren't officially on a police squad, but it's close. Like authorized vigilantes, totally off the books. Tryhards, former sidekicks, young do-gooders trying to make an impression on bigger teams. I'm not sure that fits with what you've described to me so far. Atoners, ex-villains trying to improve the lives of folks you once hurt. I think that might apply to Benny, but I'm not sure it's a general description. And nothing that you've told me so far makes you out to be retirees. So if one of those first three, secret heroes, heroes for hire, and kind of like cops, if one of those three best suited you, which one would it be? What are we thinking? Or have you got a neat alternative? Because I don't want to be bound by those. They're pretty kind of tight.
So I'm a fan of heroes for hire if we parse it as essentially like, okay, we'll do this for you. We'll do this for you, Mr. Bakery owner, but that means you got to promise 100 loaves of bread to the church. Like that kind of thing. Like basically like heroes for hire, but we use barter as our, kind of like the neighborhood economy.
Okay.
Like we're not collecting big cash rewards. We're like doling out our services on the based on how people are able to pay us.
So how does that play with the rest of you?
I have a hard time seeing Robert that selfless. to be honest, I expected him to be a rather selfish person, in a broader spectrum. But we do have some sort of a team structure, and I think he's a team player. So whenever he sees that, like the team or the person in charge is doing all the talking, and he's just a muscle, basically, that might be fine with him.
And I feel like this is a thing where, don't get me wrong, we get paid sometimes. But
sometimes those loaves go your way.
I don't want to set up one of those hero for hire things where if somebody, like if the lady that owns the consignment shop that can only pay us in clothes, we're going to turn her down because she doesn't have cash to pay us.
Donna, what do you think?
Yeah, I was just about to kind of say what Jim just said, which is to say, sometimes we are the beneficiaries of the barter neighborhood scheme, but it depends. Depends who needs what, right?
Okay, Dave, you okay with that?
I'm happy with a sort of a pay it forward sort of take in it. I think if other people get paid, that's fine. But it's like, we've done this. How can I possibly repay you? Well, don't repay me. Why don't you help the Smiths down the street? They're struggling right now.
And even and not even don't repay me, but yeah, you owe me, and to pay it back, you take care of them. Not so much like there's no debt, but if you feel like it, go ahead and help them out.
I mean, for what it's worth, I think that sets up quite an interesting tension, perhaps, between Veronica, who is quite idealistic, and Robert, who might be a little bit more selfish and saying, "But hang on, that leather jacket looks really good on me." Yeah, and actually, it belongs in the church jumble sale.
And I've been working for a small business that has been, surviving skin of its teeth for 2 decades in this neighborhood. And so I suspect I'm probably walking right down the middle of those
Okay, well, I'm going to select Heroes for Hire, and I'll put something after we finish playing in the cell alongside, just to add the bit of subtlety to that. Okay, so who brought most of you together? Was it one of you or somebody else?
Could I jump at saying that Theo kind of knew Hotwire and knew what he was capable of, and then when he discovered his own powers, said we should get together as the core of the group?
Yeah, I feel like this is it started as a we happened to show up at the same place at the same time, which then turned into a team up, which kind of organically, without us really trying, turned into a team. And then we ran into someone else, and I feel like this is a thing that sort of kind of came together as we met people, and not so much like a let's do a team kind of a thing. I mean, does that make sense?
Let's put on a show. So I am curious then. So Hotwire and Blink kind of find themselves together, and then Veronica. Did Veronica find them, or did they find Veronica?
Oh, Veronica's the one doing all the tagging, right?
Yeah, Dave, what do you think? Did Veronica find them?
More murals and tagging. So big style. So like if the properties are banned and things like that, you'll sort of wake up and find that there's a mural on your roller, metal sheet roller at the front of the shop or on the side of the building.
Next generation's Banksy.
Yeah, local Banksy.
But I'm curious, did Veronica find them, or did they find Veronica?
So what have I found them and sort of introduced this concept of, hey, we could do some social good using my idea of community bucks, and then this idealistic way that turned into other people thinking they could get paid.
Yeah, that's
cool. Yeah, I mean, life's complicated, and she'll discover that as she gets older. So how then does Robert get involved in this? Robert, did you find them or did they find you?
I'm pretty sure that I knew most of them because I've been around the block all the time. I'm a freelance graphic designer, so I can work during nights and spend a day like just in front of next corner shop or something, having a couple of beers or whatnot. And so I think I would totally see, but I want to check in with Donna if that's cool. That Theo and Robert had an argument, and for some reason, Robert had to accept that Theo is the tougher one. So that's sort of a hierarchy thing, and Robert just accepted that Theo is from now on the leader of the
Okay, so what I've got, what I as a
You muted
Mute
yourself,
yourself.
Alan.
Theo knew Hotwire and got them together as the core of the group. They were then found by Veronica, who sought to influence their motive and think she did. Robert and Theo were a little competitive. Is that okay? Fine. I think we know who calls the shots. Do we?
If everyone else is happy with that, yeah.
Yeah, it's Theo, yeah.
Cool.
Who causes the most trouble? Who generates the complications?
Probably Veronica gets us into things which possibly others might not want to. The heart of gold, so it's about trouble. It's like we've got to sort this out, and she might browbeat and nag people until they support us. And as a daredevil, probably gets herself into trouble. So even if they don't want to be in it, there might be this like call going, can you guys help me out? I'm pinned down, there's guns.
Okay, yeah, because she is the wild one after all. So it does seem like she is likely to be the instigator of difficulties.
The maximum number of stray cats is infinite, apparently.
I think this is obvious. Do you tell one another your secret IDs, or is it Cape names only? I think you know each other, don't you?
Not for me.
Oh no, that's true.
No.
I beg your pardon. No. So in fact, they didn't find Veronica. They found Shadeux.
Shadeux.
Say again.
Shadeux.
Shadeux. Sorry. So IDs except Shadeux, and they would be, I'm sure, horrified if they knew the details. Okay. Who can you rely on when the chips are down?
I feel like that's probably me.
Content with that?
Yeah, makes sense.
Is this
So
in
Benny.
Is this in a has seen it all before, doesn't panic kind of reliable, or is this
Yeah,
just
like I said,
there?
like however bad things are now, I was a teenager in the crack epidemic, right? Like this is, I mean, we're going to do everything we can to help people, but man, this is not as bad as it was back then.
And it never will be again.
I wouldn't go that far.
Not if Benny has anything to do with it. Where do you guys meet up at night before patrolling? You know, is there a place that you call your own where, you know, the group works from? You tell me. Who have I asked? Mario, tell me.
I would have a top floor apartment, so we could even hang out on the roof. But yeah.
Okay, so the top of one of these brownstones is your apartment, and so it is Robert's. Who has a beer with whom after a successful mission? Who's old enough to drink?
Well, I don't know that. No, but still does.
Yeah, I imagine that Robert would be old enough, and he wouldn't say no. And yeah, but I don't really see him in terms of friendship. I don't see where he's standing there with the other people.
So he goes for a drink, but he doesn't necessarily go for a drink with somebody. He'll go for the drink.
Yeah.
So if we were identifying two people who would actively choose to go for a drink together, who would they be?
Well, I think Robert would try to build a relationship with Theo, because as he's the leader, that's somebody Robert is kind of looking up to. But I'm not sure what Theo thinks about it.
No, I mean, I think that's fine. I think maybe Theo is thinking he needs to maybe keep an eye on Robert, maybe kind of make sure that relationship is good, because he's seen how it has the potential to go off the rails.
Is Benny part of that group, or does Benny have responsibilities at home?
Benny's in AA.
Aha.
Benny does not drink. Benny hasn't had a drink in like 15 years. And Benny takes very seriously. One of the reasons Benny knows the church is that he's, once a week he's down in the basement there at a meeting.
Oh, great. Like that.
But if Shadeux, I feel like Benny would take Shadeux for a burger, right? Like that kind of thing. And if there's something where we're all going to get together, then we go for pizza, or some like Jamaican food or something like that.
What do you think of that, Shadeux? Because I'm just trying to think that because you're in kind of hoodie and mask or whatever, this burger has to be brought out to the alley so you can share a burger sitting on a bin.
Yeah, it's rooftop, right? It's sitting on a rooftop, drinking a shake, eating fries.
Like that Spider-Man thing where he's always sitting on the edge of the building, like with his mask half up and like sucking on like you say, like a milkshake or something. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, fine. Thank you. And how do you get your missions or find out of problems in your neighborhood?
Oh, that's easy, right? I've got a foolproof 3-prong attack for finding important things that go wrong. First one is monitoring the police radios. Second one is a cool gadget that the detective burner phones have come on in the network. And the third one is passing the collection plate around in the church.
Oh, that's awesome. And people drop the note in with their, oh, that's so cool. That's friggin' fantastic.
Yeah, if you ask and put an offer in at the Church of St. Joseph's, maybe your prayers will be answered.
And is it fair that to say that Veronica, part of her job, is taking the collection plate round?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Great. Just tell me again what I put burner phone monitoring down. Is that what you meant?
Yeah.
Fine. Because
if new phones connect in the network, right, on the cell locally, she'll get an idea of them coming on. If people are pinging around, people are dumb and using encrypted stuff, but people talk on phones.
Okay. Let's go round. Donna, let's start with you with a notable resident.
I think the rector or whatever of St. Joseph's is kind of almost like a chaplain in the unit. You know, they don't know who we all are, but they know some of what we've got going on, and you know they're not they're smart enough to figure out some of our stories and maybe they haven't noticed Veronica's involvement in this because, you know, that's maybe underneath the radar. But
she's just so straight.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
what's Father
Costello? Let's go with Costello.
So Father Costello is the parish priest. Veronica, what's the name of the Catholic Church?
St. Joseph's.
Okay, so Father Costello at St. Joseph's, and every Sunday at the end of his sermon, he says, and you know, ladies and gentlemen, that I always say, if you write a note and put it in the collection plate, God will hear you, you know, and out of that comes, you know, requests. You know, I'm really struggling with the rent this weekend, Father, and the church helps. Or those kids are really messing about, and that one goes into Veronica's pocket. Yeah, lovely. Okay, what about Mario? Give me a local faction. This could be, I don't know, you know, take your pick.
Well, would that be like an opposing, like some crime syndicate kind of stuff, or?
We're going to come on to the threat to your community in a bit.
Okay.
Would you like to do threat first?
No, not really. I just wasn't sure where this question would be going. So, well, I'm thinking there's a really influential group of I don't know what it's called in English, but it's basically a whole bunch of people try to make the neighborhood nicer. So they like do all this voluntary garbage pickup stuff and like do a bit of a gardening, which is just not enough because the park is too big. And they have like some influential people within their rows.
Like the neighborhood association.
Something like that,
yeah. The people who sent you your email, the Lower Park Residents Association. Fine. Jim, give me a landmark or defining place.
Yeah. So let's see, where's our map there? I got too many windows open. Right at the corner of Park Street and High Street there. Yes, that right there. I'm gonna say that was once one of these like you know, amazing kind of high-rise department stores, you know, from like the 30s and 40s. It was like a, you know, whatever, like a Macy's or a Saks Fifth Avenue kind of a thing, like that. It is now probably like it's a thing where they like it just hasn't been rented in 20 years, right? You know, maybe for a while they were trying to renovate it to make office buildings or something like that. And I think let's call that I think we call that the Five and Dime. Like it's kind of a whatever, you know, like a derogatory reference to it. But it's one of these things where it's like a big gorgeous building. But the inside of it is all just these like vast gutted floors and stuff like this. but it's potentially the place where if you could manage to get your way in, you could maybe get up to no good right in plain sight.
Would it be nice if I made it the department store is called Parks?
Yeah,
It
sure.
used to be called Parks because that would explain why the original Parks built this area. So the Five and Dime, which used to be the impressive 1900s Parks department store.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Gathering hangout. Now we've talked about where do you meet up at night before patrolling being Robert's apartment. Is that the group's hangout, or Veronica, do you think there's somewhere else?
The hangout is in the clock tower of, as I say, the I think it's a church convent school type environment. No, maybe it's in that. Yeah, we'll say it's there. It's sort of in the clock tower there. So we will meet here there, and that's where we have our review of the mysteries of the week.
Just so I'm clear, that's not St. Joseph's Church. That's the Catholic school where your father is the principal.
Yeah, I think it's probably close, all sort of in a, built with it's a Catholic school with the church, and it's all very close to together. But yeah, I think it's maybe like a clock tower that sort of connects the two. Maybe it's in the church. I don't mind. Church would make most sense.
Like that's a thing in the United States is kind of like certainly like these sort of just like parochial, like half a block that will be owned by the church, right?
Yeah.
And there'll be the church and the school and the soup kitchen and the whatever, all kind of in that area there.
So there's like a Victorian in that same sort of thing. Maybe the Parks built it at the same time. You've got this sort of the clock don't work no more, but we've got this Gothic clock tower that we meet in the top of.
I'm seeing around where Veronica lives. I'm seeing the church and the school all in that kind of within a stone's throw. Yeah, fine.
That's all in that sort of, I say, big, almost. We'd almost call it like a monastery, right? It is fundamentally where you've got all of that space of all the community at the heart of the community when it was built.
Okay. Is anyone surprised how easy it is to get access to this? Because you don't know Veronica's dad is the principal of the school and so has keys to nearly everything. So how do you get access to this? And is anybody kind of surprised that Shadeux seems to be able to get you into these places?
I mean, like, I can't help but think that, like, we're not stupid, right? We're not bright, but we're not stupid. And so, I don't ask any questions, but I figure, like, probably, like, she grew up in the orphanage that's there. And that's why she knows her way around this place, or whatever. Like, because she can't be, so one of the things, so just to kind of say time out for a second, it's a little like, I mean, I guess you could be an usher or something like this. I mean, you can't be an altar girl in the Catholic Church, can you? Like, I don't think you.
You certainly can here. So.
Okay. Okay.
If you can in Dublin, you can anywhere.
There we go. All right. Cool. All right. So yeah.
That is a universal law now, Alan.
Like I figured. I mean, I think. Whatever. Like, we're all kind of skating along as best we can here. So if she doesn't want to tell us, we're not going to pry. But like, nobody seems upset. So yeah.
Okay.
And that's kind of my take on it anyway.
What I've written above is IDs except Shadeux about whom at least Benny is a bit suspicious, because she knows a lot about the church and school, etc. Okay, and finally, Robert, where do most folks work? You know, do they work locally? Do they go out of the area? Do they work for themselves? What do you think?
I'm pretty certain that they have to leave the district itself. Otherwise, it maybe wouldn't be as run down if there would be like a big employer. And I think there is a massive freight train station. So it's a lot of like how you call it, like delivery type of stuff. So a whole bunch of people drive trucks there, or work with the railway company.
In the US, it would probably be something more like a UPS hub or like a FedEx hub or something like that. There's not like just stuff gets transported by rail, but just not in the way that you're. I think that you know that would employ a whole neighborhood like that. But certainly, like everybody in the neighborhood works at the giant UPS hub as drivers and pickers and packers and all that kind of stuff and everything.
Yeah, and there's a vast Amazon warehouse next to it, and all, you know, and especially because it's a development down the road.
The freeway's right there, and you know, cheap land. You blow down a bunch of those brownstones, and you put up a warehouse, and
so just so I'm clear, is that in this district or is it outside?
It's a short commute, but I think it's a bit outside. Yeah,
fine, because I don't have to worry about where the Amazon is on the map.
It's the other side of the road.
Fine.
In Sound Park, right? So that would make sense. Just off the map.
Yeah, ideal. If in doubt, it's not just off the map.
Yeah. Okay. You got to take the bus. Yeah.
Let's talk about who or what constitutes the greatest threat to the community as our game will start. Donna, do you want to put anything in any hats in the ring to start with?
I kind of like the idea of bringing someone from Hotwire's past into this. Maybe no? Yes? Okay. Maybe another sidekick who Hotwire thought died in the experiments, but who did not. Who came back bad.
Let's leave it as shadowy as that at this point. That's enough to be working with. Dave, what's your motive? What is Veronica stroke Shadeux think? What's the key motive for opposing this? What are the signs that this needs opposing?
Right. So I think that whoever this is from Hotwire's past has come back into town and is they've got to try and organize around here. So I'm thinking maybe there's they want to sort of gentrify the neighborhood, push the community out.
Okay, so somebody from Hotwire's past wants to gentrify and drive the old community out.
Mm-hmm.
And so the motive for that, given everything we've read, is pretty straightforward. You want to defend the block.
It seems on point, right?
It does.
I read Game very much.
Okay, it would be appropriate to ask Hotwire then, who is that someone from your past?
Man, that is going to be, I don't know. Let's see. That is Joey Ferrari.
I'm very content to leave it at that at this point.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we'll play to find out more about Joey. Mario, who has a relationship with someone? I don't want to be with Joey. I want someone associated with Joey. Which of you do you think has a relationship with someone who has a relationship with Joey?
I have an idea, but
Go with
that's me. That's myself because I have done some graphic design work for John and Johnson, which is the investment company behind all the gentrification, and I've seen Joey go in there once or twice.
Fine. So Robert has done some work with the company behind the gentrification, and we'll again worry about the detail of that as we go. Dave, what do they have that you don't?
That's a good question. Now, are we sort of saying, trying to define the how effective they are as a threat here? Is that
the way I read this question was that it will define something that you want to confront. So is this that they have financial resources? Do they have a lot of unpleasant goons on the street? Do they have politics or police in their pocket?
Do they have the backing of that neighborhood committee we talked about?
Yeah, I think they're into politics and corruption, right? So I think they've wheedled their way into our community through
so they have
so
they have politicians both local and citywide.
Yeah, maybe more citywide than local. I sort of feel it. This is has to be the man, right?
Okay.
They've got permits, and all they've got to do is get people to move out.
So they have City Hall in their pocket. Okay. And we'll worry about whether any of that graft has leaked into the local economy or not in a minute. But what is the weak? And it says here, what weakness of theirs do you take advantage of? What is their greatest weakness? Jim, what's their greatest weakness?
What is their greatest weakness? I think their greatest weakness, and they got politics and stuff on their side and everything. Bad publicity. Like they do not want to like they're very conscious of their image and being connected to, like there's that balance between like they know that they're gentrifying, but it's got to be presented as like we're improving it for the people that live there and all that kind of stuff. And anytime you can demonstrate that they're, actually like shining some light on them is bad news for them.
Okay. Now, I have to say that's all taken much longer than I thought it was going to do. But it'll pay off in the long term, I'm sure. So what I'm going to suggest is we take a 10-minute break now just to get another hot drink, and then we'll come back at 5 to the hour. And we will run some introductory pages that sees you in action. Okay? See you in 10. Dave, I hope you don't mind. I've moved your house slightly to be part of that that complex of the church and school down here.
Yeah, no problem with me. That's all fine.
Right. Hey ho. Okay, so let us have an opening panel then, which I think will be a street view of Park Lane, Jurassic Park Lane, and it's one of those kind of distorted looking up at these imposing turn of the 19th century Gothic church, school, the tall 5-story brownstones that are also probably part of the school now. And we're looking up at the clock tower on the school. And what do we see first, Shadeux? What's the next panel show?
There's in the room, the center of the room is like a wooden table, and the only light in the room is sort of a standalone, if you like, storm lantern, and you can't see much behind that. We're all standing around it, and we've got these folded up pieces of paper from the collection tray, and we're all looking over it.
Great, and this is our first look at you as a group, and I think we probably we'll cut to looking at friend Theo, who is after all the leader. And how do you normally sort out which of these bits of paper to follow up on, Theo?
Well, I think when we see the top-down view of Theo, there's like his mask is like looking straight up because he's just like pulled it back off his face onto the top of his head. And yeah, I think he doesn't think too much about it. He just picks one out and reads it, and if everyone says, sure, that sounds cool, let's do that, he jumps in. I think the more kind of aware members of the team might say, maybe we should just take a look at something else and see if it's urgent, right? And he goes, sure, that sounds like a good idea.
Now that's an important opening shot, because you've talked about his mask. How does Theo dress when he's being Blink? Is this just a balaclava mask, or?
I think it's like a Halloween mask. It's kind of cheap and plastic. I think it's like from the Dark Souls computer games are quite wide and stark. A little bit kind of the enamel, not quite enamel, the kind of the paint that's on the plastic is maybe cracking a little bit.
And other than that, does he have a costume, or is he just dressed in dark clothes?
I think the rest of it is
this Daredevil Series 1 or Series 2?
I think it's Series 1, right? It's plain black clothes, which works with the outfit of for Dark Souls. Yeah. So it's quite practical clothing.
Okay, Robert, how do we first see Void? I mean, we got a great picture of him in Character Keeper, which I will just share with our thousands of viewers. There he is. Oh no, struggling with that. There we go. There he is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So
how does he look when he's preparing to go out with the group?
he's sort of looking quite similar to Blink, but he's working as a freelance graphic designer, and he's a wannabe rap star. So he had some custom tailored, fancy kind of stuff, and he has like a sort of like tight clothing, but then on top he wears a heavy dark leather jacket to make him look tougher. And he has a mask that is sort of a balaclava, but adds some crazy jewelry to it. So there's maybe not an actual diamond, but a couple of like fake glass diamond kind of things attached to it. So it looks kind of like fancy.
Okay. Shadeux, I think we got a pretty clear idea of what you look like, but do you want to describe it? Just make sure we got the right picture of this first shot of you.
Leather jacket, hoodie, gas mask, bandana full of spray cans and paint bombs, smudges of various paint, backpack full of bits and pieces, and like a rappelling and climbing gear hanging out the back of it. She is dressed for crime fighting or painting, whichever you want to do this evening.
Okay. And finally, Hotwire, you're the closest thing we have to a pro. You know, you've seen superheroes up close and personal. So what's our first look at Hotwire?
I mean, if we're just kind of sitting around, I'm not glowing or, you know, electricity crackling through my fingers or any of that kind of stuff. I feel like I've got like something like I've got as close to like an actual superhero costume as we see. And basically it looks like a superhero costume because essentially it's a wetsuit, right? It's like a scuba suit because it's insulated and you know, and rubber and all that kind of stuff and everything. And I can, you know, control and it's almost certainly got some kind of conduits, like, you know, kind of down the arms and like some kind of box at the, you know, at the belt, and then stuff that goes down the legs so that I can project that field out and stuff like that and everything. And it's all like a bunch of like jerry-rigged stuff from my years of doing this. And maybe since I've like Shadeux and I have been hanging out together for a little while, maybe she's tweaked some of it so that it works better and stuff like that. And I feel like I've got basically like welding goggles that I wear because, like, you know, I can project electricity and all this kind of stuff and everything, but my eyes can't handle, you know, those super bright flashes any better than any normal person's eyes can. So most of the time you're going to see me with like, you know, like I've got like, you know, you know, kind of buzz down hair, and the goggles are like up over my forehead. And they, you know, and when we're out there doing superheroing stuff, they whatever kind of protect my identity. I have a feeling like I've got that thing going on where like my secret identity is honored more in the breach than in the observance of it. You know what I mean? Like it's like a Luke Cage kind of thing. Like everybody in the neighborhood sort of knows who I am. Yeah.
They know where you are.
Yeah.
Okay. So the piece of paper you've picked up, Theo, is from Mrs. Simpkins. Mrs. Simpkins lives in the top floor apartment of a house that overlooks the lot on which the old Park department store sits. And what she's written and put in the communion plate is Father, there are dozens, maybe hundreds, so many kids just congregate there every night, and the music is loud, and it's, you know, and my granddaughter can't sleep. What do you make of that, Theo?
I mean, it sounds like a worthwhile thing to do. I'm not sure we need to be all superhero about it, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, if I don't want to get the building declared derelict or anything like that, so maybe we better take care of it.
Oh, because the police never respond to calls to Lower Park. Why would they?
Yeah, they've got more important things to do than to look after young children's sleeping habits, right?
Yeah, managing the fallout from all the super teams that are endlessly patrolling the center of town. So how do you want to come at this then? You're the leader. What are you leading them to do?
So what do you think, guys? We could just show up and kick them out, convince them that it's not worth the hassle.
Yeah, I mean, you can't lose anything by just asking them.
Where else have they got to go? So they're just causing some noise and a bit of, is it criminal, or does,
I mean, technically, Shadeux, it is criminal, right? But
I mean, that's what we're going over there to find out.
But I mean, it's a good point, right? Like when I was growing up in this neighborhood, I am pretty sure I was not the most social being all the time. I may have crossed the line a few times. I may have taken a beer or two in the very grounds that these kids are in right now. So what else can we offer them, Shadeux?
Well, if I may, doesn't it look like really dumb when we show up to shut down some party or something? Like, can't we mess with the gentrifier jerks or something bigger? Like, we're not being like some sort of police patrol kind of thing.
Well,
no, we're not, because what we're not gonna do is kick the door in and arrest everybody. We're gonna go. We're gonna talk to them. We're gonna tell them. We're gonna try and figure out how we can get them to just get along with their neighbors, and if they don't, then we go from there. But we're not going in there to kick anybody in the head or drag anybody off to jail. But we've been asked for help here.
Yeah, okay. And a young boy just grabs a beer, looking really unsatisfied with how things are going.
I mean, if we think it's going to take not very much time, let's pick a second winning contestant from the hat, right?
I was going to ask, you told me you went with the first one you picked up.
Yeah.
Do you want to pick up another one?
Yeah. Let's see what else is out there.
Yeah, there's a Sergeant Graft, Police Sergeant Graft, Detective Graft, in fact.
Is that nominative determinism at work?
He's an NPC from another game who's just popped into my head. Detective Graft.
Can I ask you a favor? Can we please give him a different name?
Okay.
Because that's so on the nose.
Okay.
That it's just like.
Let's call him Detective Grant. There you
go. That's great. That's fantastic.
Detective Grant.
Detective Bad Cop is
Detective Grant turned up at a shop, a cafe. It's one of the few kind of places to eat in the vicinity, on High Street, as it happens. And and he seemed to want money to investigate the robbery that went on there last week.
So I guess we've got two problems here, right, for the price of one.
So what do you do?
I mean, my inclination is to convince the good detective to do his bloody job.
I don't think we're going to do that. I don't think we're going to do that by getting in his face. But if we can, if we can get something that we can show to Channel 7 of him doing this, that might get him. That might get his attention.
Yeah.
Sounds legit. Let's do that. As for the party, I suppose we just check it out. If it's a party, well, we can try and figure out who the ringleaders are and ask him to try and think about it differently. But who knows? Maybe there's drugs going down there or something else. Maybe we should just check it out, right?
So what does our next panel show? Jim? Let's focus on Hotwire this time rather than Theo.
Oh, I think next panel shows. So I think next panel shows us inside the kind of that abandoned apartment building and stuff like the department store rather, and we walk up to the elevator and I reach out and I press the button on it and there's a little bzzz like that, and it dings and we start to see the kind of old style, like dial floor indicator start to move that it's going down, that the elevator is coming down towards us. And, I make a little like, kind of after you gesture, and we get in the elevator and I, press the 7th floor where she said she heard the noise coming from. And, and there's another little zap and the doors kind of grind close, and I think it's this thing where like the elevator stops like, 8 inches above the floor, just like not entirely inspiring confidence in how, with a kind of a grinding noise. And it's really creaking and groaning as we're going up to wherever we heard this party was happening.
The door's open. And you were assaulted. You'd heard the noise from outside, but somebody has done something on this floor to provide some sound insulation. So this is just a mass of young people and flashing lights and spots moving around. And clearly the windows have been boarded up. And this entire floor appears to have been insulated, but you could still hear the noise from outside. And there's just a wall of people. What do you do?
Robert rushes in, starting to dance. Well, still in young Void dress up.
And so Robert just disappears. He's swallowed by this crowd of people. You might see occasionally the head bouncing up and down. Shadeux, what do you do?
I think as the lift was coming up anyway, Shadeux was probably not in there and was on the top. So as the lift comes to at the top, I'm going to be lifting myself up into the sort of the gantries or the metalwork above, looking down on. I'm trying to figure out who move my way over to whoever's on the deck. So who's playing the music?
I think probably this once had ornate plasterwork ceilings, much of which has fallen away, and so you know you can see the gantries that support the void, and we see you moving through that and looking down. What about blink in this circumstance, Theo? What are you going to do?
Yeah, I think I am kind of stepping in off the elevator and looking for someone who looks like they're trying to manage this chaos.
I think well, okay, let's roll some dice. Goodness me. I think I put the dice roller in the chat. And this is a dice pool game for our viewers who don't know. And so this is doing something. You are acting with initiative. I think this is a leadery thing to do. So I think you get a roll dice. Are you being normal or being super?
I think I'm being normal. Right?
Okay.
I'm just here
So
as
that's
a
another
potential
3
punter.
dice. And I think this is probably trying to work out what's going on here, which sounds like head to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So I think we're looking at 5 dice as a kickoff, unless you want to do something else. Yeah. So
yeah, that sounds fair.
yeah. And I think that probably this is a difficulty of good, because I think it is trying to work out where there is any pattern in this vast crowd of kids or young people. So I think your target is 3. So you're going to roll 5 dice looking for 3s or better. Yeah?
Okay. 4s are better? Or 3 4s are better, is it?
3 or better. I think that's the way I read it. Yeah. You need 3 high scores. Sorry, yeah. You need 3 that are 4+. Yes. I'll get there in describing this in the end.
Yeah, so a 4, a 5, and a 6.
So you have 3 successes, which is what you needed. Those 2 1s you've rolled, because this was not a state of tension being in play, so you don't take any difficulties from that. But I think you do notice that there's someone to one side of the decks. There's a platform where there appear to be a number of seats, booths set up. And it certainly looks like there are people out there looking over the floor. Does that help?
Yeah, perfect. So
before I ask you what you do, Hotwire, what do you do in these circumstances? You've got them up here in the lift.
Man, I'm like this is the kind of thing where like I am being assaulted by noise. And like everyone here is half my age or younger, it sounds like, is kind of what's going on. So I think what I'm gonna do is like I kind of like look around and and I look over at Blink, and I kind of like do like a shrug.
Well, Blink.
Yeah, so I will kind of nod towards the booth that I've identified, and
oh, okay. And I look up there, and I'm
over there,
and I nod. Okay, and I like I'm doing like sign language. I'm not even gonna try and yell over this. I'm like, so like you, me, going over there. Okay, cool. And so I kind of like sort of like pardon me. I step in front of Blink, and then I just kind of like, little like, you know, like my hands start to glow a little bit, and kind of the electricity sort of crackles up those conduits, and I just kind of do a little like bzz, like I kind of fire up a little zap field, so that like kind of as we move towards people, they're like yikes, and they like are just getting out of our way, so that I can kind of like clear us a path to this without we have to like shove people over and stuff like this.
Now, I don't know how you all feel about this, but my feeling is that as soon as you go super, there is a chance that something can go wrong. So
oh yeah, sure.
I think that generally speaking, when you go super, you will have tension in play. So what does that
totally
dice
fair.
pool?
Yeah.
What does that dice pool look like, Hotwire?
So that is you know, that's my that's defense. So I'm going super for 3. And then I feel like this is hands. This is just like trying to get people out of the way, move them along, kind of, you know, like if this, you know, like maybe kind of, you know, tap somebody on the shoulder to get them to jump out of our way. So yeah.
Yeah, that works for me. So that's a dice pool of 3, 6,
Yep.
6.
Mm-hmm. Yep, 6. And
and the difficulty, I think this is low difficulty. I think this is 2.
yeah, cool. All right, let me actually have the roll for your party open. I don't find it here. Too many windows, that's my problem. Is the roll for your party on the, is it in the sheet, or is it just in the, or should I go find it in the chat? I'll find it. It's in the chat.
Put it in the chat again.
There we go. Our optionally proper chipmunk. I got that. Boom. So I'm throwing 6. I'm going to be using green dice for myself here. What do I got? Nope, I only got 1 out of 6 dice.
Wow. So that's a shock.
Ha ha ha. I see what
so
you did
what
there.
happens is that unfortunately it looks like the local community college football team came here tonight, and you just zapped the quarterback, and he turns around, he looks at you, and through the noise of this, he kind of screams in your face, "What's up with you, Granddad?" And you can see there's a lot of big guys with him.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do?
I just say, no problem. Just trying to get through the crowd. We each do it in our own way.
No, you got some fucking zappy thing. You're just what you got some kind of taser?
Nope. And I just hold my hands up and I kind of do a little like flourish with my fingers, and they go bzz, bzz, bzz. You know, like Van de Graaff generator sparks going up between my fingers. I hold my hands up. Is
the intention here to intimidate?
Yeah, I guess it is. Like the intention, it's not, well, yeah, it is. It's to cow him. It's this is more trouble than it's worth, kid.
And Blink, you're following, I think, Hotwire through the crowd. Do you want to do anything as he's about to demonstrate his powers?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna stand there because I know Hotwire isn't gonna hurt him unless he needs to.
Okay.
So I'm giving him his space.
Okay, so I think intimidation. I think this is about jaw, because you don't want to hurt him, do you?
No.
So it is jaw, but you are being super. Go for it.
I'm not.
Can't get any worse, can it?
Yeah, but I'm not good at talking to people. So, is there any kind of helper mechanic for this game?
I don't. There is Spark. I'd forgotten about Spark.
Yeah, we should talk
Each
about
of you start with d6 plus 1 spark. So it would be good to know whether Blink has d6 plus 1, what that spark looks like.
I'll just roll an extra d6 to get that. 6. Okay.
Oh,
So is that 7?
that's a spark of 7. So if you mark 7 up there, now you can spend one of those spark to donate a dice to Hotwire. You can spend additional spark to donate additional dice, but you will then be involved in this. You won't be helping. You may be stepping into trouble. So I guess, narratively, spending 1 spark would simply be standing there and backing him up. Spending more than 1 spark might well be offering to threaten them as well, and therefore you would be embroiled in any of the negative outcomes. And of course, Hotwire, you too could spend spark, but I noticed that you've not got very much.
I've got 2. Yeah. So
what do you see Blink doing if you want to use the help?
So yeah, I guess to give us odds of getting that extra success, we need 2 dice, right? So
I'm throwing 4 right now.
Oh, sorry, you haven't rolled yet. Yeah. So and how many successes do we need?
And that's also a good question. Can you spend after you roll, or does it have to be?
I think I want you to state that before.
There we go. Cool.
I'm not sure the rules are clear, but I'll check that between sessions.
Fair.
But I think it makes more sense if it looks like the risk is high, then I think we need to see you step up.
So what's the difficulty on this for Hotwire?
I think probably the difficulty now is 3.
Okay. So yeah, I guess I'll give 2 dice. So I'll spend 2 spark.
And that puts you in the firing line if anything goes amiss.
Yeah.
Which you kind of were anyway. So all right.
So how many dice is that, Hotwire?
I started with 4 because I've got 3 super and 1 jaw. And so we're adding 2 to that, and I will spend 1 of my 2 spark.
Okay. So
because
if 6, does it?
Yep. Well, no, 7, because I had 4 plus 2 plus 1, total of 7 dice, looking for 3 hits. Also, if you run out, that's a cool chance for a refresh scene. So, and that I got 2 hits on that.
So that's
no, wait. I got 1 more. Sorry, I only threw 6 dice. Let me throw that last die and see what I get. Yeah, it's still a 3. So yeah, that's 2 hits there.
And
I'll just have a question, because I might have misread the rules. Isn't it 6 plus 1 d6 of spark? So you would have 8 if you roll a 2, or is that bullshit?
Oh, have I got it the wrong way around? No, if I have, by all means.
I just see in the spark section it says every SPB starts with 6 plus 1 d6 worth of spark. So you would have 8.
That seems pretty explicit. Does that make it a bit better, Jim?
Yeah. I mean,
so that gives you...
I'd rather start with 7 than start with 2, but I still missed the roll.
Well, I suppose what it means is you could have spent more spark.
I wouldn't have. That's fine.
Okay. So I think that a rumble ensues. They are not intimidated by this. There are, 8 or 10 of them, big blokes. And so I think probably, Shadeux, you will see a fight erupting in the middle of the dance floor. And I think probably so will Robert. Because suddenly people are rushing away as folks are piling in.
And Robert, young Void just came back with 4 beers. and he just was about to ask where Shadeux would be, and then he sees that there's trouble. And just before thinking, we have the plastic cups full of beer, like the typical red ones you see in the movies all the time. And I just throw all of them towards the jocks, like right in their face.
So what is your intention?
Well, if they want to start trouble, I'm all for it. Yeah, I'm not gonna let that douchebags ruin the day of my team.
So
like, we're the good guys here.
So are you trying to attract their attention to distract some of them to you and away from them, or are you trying just to pile in?
I wanna be real bold and maybe like just intimidate them, so that I'm rushing in, standing there like just one guy next to other guys, unrelated, in strange clothes.
And I have to have you grab one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
and then
sounds.
what do you do?
Like I'm just starting. Yeah, I'm just trying to intimidate him, and it's like you better get out of here. That's clearly not your place to be.
Is this phrased in the form of, is this intimidation in the form of rap? And are you exerting your power?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're going super. So that will be 1 dice.
Yeah.
You're engaging your jaw, so that's another 6 dice. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think you've got 7 dice to play with. And I think the difficulty, because it's 1-on-1, the difficulty is 2.
Okay.
So I'm looking for 2 successes.
Okay. So... Oh, that looks really good. I've got 2 6s, 2 4s, and a 5. So it's like 5 total.
Oh, that's plenty of success. And this guy, just his eyes go, well, you tell me, what effect does this have on him?
Yeah, I think from our perspectives, we just see like me touching him, and him just like his eyes sort of drift, become all clear, and he's clearly not really recognizing anything that's happening around here. He's like totally in his own mind, like not getting anything that's happening,
and just wanders away to the grand staircase in the corner of the room, or in it that people normally come here through. Shadeux, it's all kicking off down there. What's your reaction?
So Shadeux looks down at the all of this kicking off and goes,
I was going to say, looks down at the grown-ups.
Yeah, so those are my friends down there and my teammates. It's like, goddamn squares in a party. And she looks across to the sprinkler system in the ceiling and takes a baseball out of her little satchel. I'm going to throw it to set off the sprinkler system and cool the hotheads down.
This, of course, is the example given in the rules. Difficulty, throw a baseball through a window, 2. Difficulty, throw a baseball through a window 8 stories up, 3. I think that hitting the sprinkler is probably nearer 3 than the window. So difficulty of 3, I think.
Okay.
And this is, you're not going super, it seems to me. This is
I'm using my gadgetry. So this is...
Oh, yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
So,
I didn't know you wanted to count a baseball as gadgetry, but
it's a bag of all sorts of bits, right? So
go. Yeah. So how many dice?
So if I'm going to really take you from a baseball into a paint bomb, because I think sharing paint and dust down on them to give them a smoke cloud might just be as simple. So that would be. So if I understand this correctly, I've got super 3, I've got tools 3. So that be 6, is that correct?
I think I don't know what you think, but this strikes me as the action of a wild one, because the chances are chaos will ensue.
Probably.
Yeah. So I think you're fulfilling your team role.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm rolling 76 all in total then, right?
Go for it.
I have 2 6s, a 5, and a 4.
Which is 3 successes. So what was turning into a kind of spreading fight and now just turns into chaos, as because I'm certain that in your paint bomb there's some paint that shows in ultraviolet and is luminous.
Well, I'm working on the principle that cool kids ain't gonna want to be in there getting covered in paint and sprinkler water. They're gonna have a hell of a lot of explaining to do when they get home. It's probably indelible ink.
Yes. Your father will be able to pick them out in assembly tomorrow. And so so I think the paint bombs go off. There is chaos. And the party kind of dives straight through the floor, in the sense that people are running away. Suddenly this fight has turned nasty, and so within minutes, I think the floor is going to clear. Is there anything, Blink, that you want to do before it clears, or are you content to join the exodus?
Yeah, I guess I'm not sure whether I'm sighing in exasperation or relief that we didn't have to actually punch anyone. But I think, we're going to still have a talk with the ringleaders in the booth. So I'm just like standing there. Maybe as the people are rushing, they are avoiding Hotwire's kind of force field, and we're just standing there waiting for things to die down.
Hotwire, do you follow my leader on that one?
Oh yeah. No, if like if people are clearing out, then they're clearing out, which is kind of what we came here to do. I think that I'm just kind of sticking with Blink here, I think, for this.
Okay. And Robert,
I do have an eye out to make sure no one's getting like trampled or run over or badly hurt as people are clearing out of here, because we've established the elevators are dodgy. They're probably mostly going down by the stairs, which is probably how they mostly got up here and stuff like that. And so just keep an eye out for anybody that gets run over or that looks like they're in no condition to leave under their own steam or anything like that.
The great thing about the Park Department Store is that it has one of those incredibly grand staircases.
Yeah, sure.
That is kind of 20 paces across.
Yeah.
And I don't think it would be appropriate in the current tone for us to have people trampled to death. So I think they're leaving.
Well, and absolutely what there absolutely is a whole bunch of escalators that aren't running that people can go up and down, just like their stairs too. So in addition to whatever stairwells are there. Yeah.
Void, I'm curious, the party just begun. What do you do?
Yeah, I'm just waiting with my team, standing there, watching people go by, and then, but I'm definitely commenting it like, that's a pity. That was by far the best party we have seen here in years. I think that DJ was really dope.
I think, as usual, we can blame jocks for all of life's problems. They started something.
Yeah, those were real douchebags, right? What was the deal with Hotwire? Just like, why did they start trouble with you?
I bumped them. We're just trying to clear a path, and they got upset, and there was, it's just the kind of thing that happens.
Shadeux, while Hotwire is trying to make sure no one's getting hurt, Blink and he and Void are having this conversation. What are you doing? You are muted.
So, I think as they're doing that, Shadeux takes a sort of a roll of fabric out of her her bag and sort of sprays a tag on it and says, "No one wants to stop you having a party, but hey, think of your neighbors." And then it will sort of roll down the wall.
And then what do you do, Blink?
I guess I approach the booth if there's still people in there. Yeah.
That's the interesting thing. The floor is cleared. There's the DJ is gone, equipment abandoned. And you look up to the booth and you see a man in a black suit turned away from you, so you can't see his face. And he moves his finger in a circle. And where his finger, it traces a kind of pale purple light. And then he and his three companions step through that and disappear.
Oh,
Whoa.
that's not good.
Is that is it something that one could clairvoyance through?
I think one could certainly try.
Well,
I think the difficulty, because it's not beyond that door, it's on the other side of the room.
Yeah.
So I think your difficulty is going to be probably nearer 4 than 2.
Okay.
Because we know your power doesn't go a long way.
Yeah.
And this is trying to listen in on the other side of some kind of gate. No, make it 3. God, we're early on.
So is this head or is this?
I think this is probably perception at work, don't you?
Yeah. So
that's not a lot of dice, it must be said at this point in proceedings, unless you burn some spark.
Yeah, so at the moment I'm on 2 because I'm being super, and head is also like my weakest stat. So I'm on 2 looking for 3 successes, which seems rather unlikely. Am I getting one for leader or?
I think so, because again, you've taken the initiative. I'll give you the benefit of that one.
Okay.
And
so I'm gonna
Hotwire.
Sorry, go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, can I throw in a couple of dice?
How?
Yeah.
How can you help him with his clairvoyance?
I think that what I can do is, like there's all kinds of cables and stuff going around here, going to speakers and whatever and stuff like that. So I'm just going to kind of reach out and grab, and just, that crackling hand, I press it against one of the cables and it's going to kind of light up and illuminate what's going on there. And maybe even just whatever, the charge helps keep the portal open a little longer or something like that.
That's what I hoped you were going to say.
Get a glimpse, yeah.
So how much spark do you want to burn?
I'll throw 3 into this.
So
and get entangled in whatever the results are.
Okay, so Blink, you've got
and I will spend 2.
So that's 7 dice, I think.
Yeah. So let me just throw another one into the mix there before I re-roll. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4 successes.
Which is more than you needed. So I think I will just, because Hotwire's managed to just keep that gate open momentarily, you will hear...
I also got 2 1s. I know you mentioned those earlier in case they are interesting.
Yeah, I think that I've come to that in a second. You hear one man say to another, or a woman say to a man, "That went much better than I'd anticipated." And then the portal that's been kept open from your side fractionally longer than it ought to be snaps shut, and the electric charge comes back at you and Hotwire, and you take 2 oofs so those 2 1s convert to oofs, which strike your spark. So your spark is reduced by those 2.
So 2 each or 1
2
each?
each.
2 each, okay.
My defense power doesn't help me with that.
I was going to tell. I think that what you notice, Hotwire, is it kind of comes back as an electrical back charge, but it's not electricity.
Yeah, there's something different about it.
There's something different going on here, and it wasn't your electricity coming back at you. It was the energy that was stored in that gate when it didn't close naturally.
It was like, it was nice, clean, glowy lightning going one way, and it's whatever, some kind of purple crap coming back in the other direction.
Purple crap coming back to you. Yeah.
All right. And I feel like I mean, 2 oof sounds like a blown off our feet onto our ass, kind of like, oh man, like hitting the smoke that's coming out of my like charging units and stuff.
And so I think that is our final panel for this comic. I think we're seeing Hotwire and Blink blown backwards onto their arse. Shadeux, what do we see of you in that final panel?
I think this look of Shadeux at that point, and we can see the lenses inside the gas mask have been recording this, and she just sort of whispers, "Cool, super villains."
And what about Void?
I was standing like next to Hotwire and Blink, and then saw them like falling back, and I'm turning like, what the fuck was that?
And that would seem to me to be a good final kind of bubble on that page. So thank you for that. I'd like to do a quick stars and wishes, if I could, please. If I run up the character keeper to start with on stars, can we start then? Donna, any stars?
Yeah, it's early days, but I really like the kind of neighborhood and the group dynamic we have going here. I think we built a really nice foundation for the next few sessions.
Yeah, so do I. Dave, any stars?
I loved a lot of the world building stuff, but I did love the way that Hotwire got himself into all sorts of crazy stuff just from bad dice rolls. Those are always my favorite.
Yeah. I'm very grateful for those, Jim. Thank you. Always appreciated. Mario, any stars?
Yeah, I'm really excited about the system, and I'm super excited to see where this cast is going to end up. This is so wild, character-wise.
And finally, Jim.
Yeah, stars to everybody for the contributions to, this Gestalt world building thing always creates really interesting results, and I'm very pleased with what we've got so far. In particular, Mario, stars to you for your bravery, just jumping in with this, not knowing a ton about superheroes and like going along and being willing to like tweak stuff that you came up with and things like that to roll along with us. But it's it's like I love playing superhero games with people that don't necessarily because sometimes like if you really love the genre, you can get handcuffed by the genre. And so to have at least one or two people that are like, how about this? And we go, oh, see, I wouldn't have thought to do that. And it's really great to have that. So I really appreciate that you're here. To help us with that. So.
Yeah, I'd endorse all of that, I think. And what about wishes on the way back? Jim, start with you.
Boy, wishes. I definitely want to see as much as cool as the like note in the offering plate thing is, I do want to make sure this doesn't turn into we never actually meet the people we're helping. And that, that is a way that people can get in touch with us, but then maybe it's not necessarily it's not always we just read the note and then go do the thing and it's done. But it's like we read the note, okay, we got to go talk to them about what exactly help they need. And to get to start to meet some of the people in the neighborhood that are not either other villains or our relatives or whatever that are going to make up the the kind of broader cast of characters, and to get to know and care about some of them.
Oh, it's a really nice wish. Working back, Mario, wishes.
First, I'm going to check more into the Lines and Whales document. I'm super sorry I hit a line during character creation. I'm sorry, I wasn't aware of it. Yeah, wishes wise, this is so out of my league, and I'm gonna be really mindful and maybe do some research, because I never played one of the tough guys, and I hardly have experience with the superpowers. So yeah, I the wishes go to myself, and I'm gonna be very mindful about my character in the future.
Let me make it clear that I don't have a problem with you tweaking the characters over these first couple of sessions. As you get a feel for them, because sometimes stuff just doesn't hang together the way you thought it was going to. So no, don't sweat that. Dave, wishes.
I echo what Jim was saying there, and some opportunity as well as the fight scenes is to have some PC on PC scenes. We sort of set up, going to the bar, having the hamburger on the rooftop, grounding the real life stuff, as well as having a fight.
I think that's how we get our spark back, right?
Yeah.
Is to have those like whatever downtime scenes. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hoping that the mechanics will drive some of that, drive you to suggest them. So feel free. Donna, wishes.
This is probably just because we had such a short kind of play, kind of or role playing scene, but I would like to see Void and Shadeux take like a more active role. I guess just for Mario and Dave to get more screen time next time, because I felt like, because we were like Jim and I were kind of first in playing the leadership role, as it were, we were kind of driving it a bit more than I would like.
Yeah, no, fair point.
Don't worry, there'll be ramifications for that, Grandpa.
My wishes are that I need to internalize these rules better, because it's all well and good reading them, but I need to be a bit sharper on application. So that's just about me practicing. Okay, thank you for that. I will finish the broadcast now. So wave bye-bye to the internet.